Oh, you know what that music means. We haven't heard it in quite some time, but that means it's time for Ask Coach Carol with Carol Phillips, who is in our Bow Studio today, our Bow Studio / Meat Locker. And 3:07 is the time. And Carol, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, Ken.
And, we're just trying to keep people awake in the studio.
That's
right. It's a little chilly, but
keep you on your toes. Well, we're in New Hampshire.
Yeah, you might feel warmer when you go outside, Yeah.
Well, not tonight.
Let's hope
This
not.
is going to feel toasty compared to tonight.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, overnight low of 3 tonight.
Well, I'm glad you got us warmed up for my show because I was listening to you at 2 o'clock talking about the fast food and the hot dogs and the smoking. And
Yeah.
So we'll do all the fixes in this hour.
I have often wondered why fast food establishments have not offered hot dogs in the past.
Ugh.
I know. You and J-Dog feel the same way about hot dogs. I know.
I think hot dogs are mystery meat.
There you go. And J-Dog agrees with you, Carol. I've probably eaten too many in my day. But nonetheless,
Yep.
Carol
It is
here.
surprising.
It is surprising what?
That, most of the fast food places don't have hot dogs.
It is, yeah. I've often wondered why, they haven't, but now Burger King is going to start doing it. And chili dogs, too.
Yep, that'll
Yeah.
be different.
Yeah. So, I mean, in everything in moderation.
That's right.
That's what I say.
Once in a blue moon. Won't kill you.
All right, Carol, I know you've been busy, as you always are. I haven't seen you in a while.
Right.
It's been a long time, but what do we have in store today?
Well, I wanted to share that I am going to be doing a book signing this Saturday at Barnes & Noble in Manchester.
All right.
From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So if anybody wants to come down and visit and say hi and join in the fun, they've got the cafe there and
Yeah.
we'll just have a little bit of a party.
There
so
you go.
I'm excited. So I'll be, selling my book, 52 Simple Ways to Health, and making it easy for people to make healthy choices.
Autographing it and everything.
That's right. Signed copies. So
Signed copies.
come join the party.
All right. A party at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, this Saturday from 1 to 3.
On South Willow Street.
Right.
Absolutely. All right. Well,
Across from the mall.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. And remind us all about that again, later on in the show.
Okay, sounds
For the
good.
benefit of those people who just listen for a few minutes here and there.
Right.
Right.
We'll go over it again.
So, Carol, proceed. What are we talking about today?
Well, today I have a very special guest. I'm really excited about what we're going to be talking about today. My guest today is Vivian Green, who is the Executive Director of Good Life Programs and Activities in Concord, New Hampshire. So welcome, Vivian.
Thank you very much, Carol. It's a pleasure to be here.
So glad you're here. Can you give us a little overview of Good Life and how you ended up there? Because they haven't been open for very long.
No, we opened in May of 2013. And just to give you an overview of what we are, we're basically a health and wellness center for adults 50 plus. We have all kinds of activities going on that give people choices so that they can be healthy and well, they can live long, they can stay active and independent. I think you and I have a lot of things in common in terms of our approach to wellness and healthy aging. We have activities going on from classes in exercise, nutrition, trips, all kinds of art programs as well. We bring in presenters and speakers just like you that come in and talk to everyone on trends, issues, current topics, and also exciting and fun things. We have a relationship with the Audubon Society, for example, and they're going to be coming in to do a presentation on Wings of the Night in a couple of weeks. And that's
Interesting.
about bats and owls and things that fly around in the dark.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I've been to your facility a few times, and it's very welcoming.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
Beautiful facility. So, yeah, and it's so important for our seniors to stay active. And it's funny now because, we say seniors, but, where does that start? As I get older, the lines are getting really blurred.
50 is young.
It is.
Absolutely. Well, I was listening to, I think it was a radio program last night, and it was talking about 80 is the new 40, and 100 is the new 50. So, yeah, we're living to be 100 plus easily these days and staying active through all of those years. So I think the word senior probably doesn't really exist any longer compared to the definition of senior probably 10, 20 years ago.
Right, and everybody's different where they are physically,
Yeah.
mentally, socially. And whenever somebody turns 100 and they interview them on the news and they say, "What's your secret to longevity?" It's always about staying physically active, socializing, being positive. So, that's what your facility brings to people in all different interest levels.
Absolutely. And, I think we're also an organization that tries to change the public's perception of aging. I think there's still a lot of misconceptions about what it is like to be older. And some of that is really promoted through the media and certainly through film and television. We still live in a very youth-oriented society. And I think for us, because we know what it's like for folks who are active, independent, and want to stay that way, to the difficulty they sometimes have in finding activities that are going to benefit them, but also that they're interested in. And again, challenging the public's perception of what it's like to be 60 or 70. You're not, you're retired, but you're not dead. I guess
Right.
that's one of my catchphrases, and you can retire at any age now. People are working into their mid 70s easily, and some people are working even longer.
Right. And you and I were talking about how, people need to, they have this picture of, well, when I retire, I'm going to be happy when. And, they have this picture of everything being great and them relaxing. And then they get there. And sometimes, a lot of times, seniors end up getting depressed because they're not doing all the socializing they used to. They don't feel like they have a purpose anymore because they tied their meaning to life to their job title. Mm-hmm. So then they kind of feel like they've lost a piece of themselves. So they're almost having to rediscover themselves to stay on the happy side of life.
Yeah, I think that's a real challenge for people who are retiring nowadays, especially in the Northeast, because we live in this part of the country that is living in a highly stressed environment. We are, kind of the hamster wheel people who just have to keep moving, have to keep doing, have to keep acquiring. And when you stop that at the end of your working life and you look at relaxing, first of all, I think it's very difficult for people to relax after that and
Right.
find a way to bring that adrenaline level down. But I think you're absolutely right. The challenge is to find something that is going to be meaningful, that is going to be rewarding, that is going to challenge you physically, possibly, mentally, stimulate you, give you that social connection. Because let's face it, in the workplace, we spend 12 to 14 hours a day in that environment. It's not like it used to be where it was 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or whatever, and you could come home and then you had a personal life. I think for a lot of people nowadays, your personal life is very entwined with what you do for your job. So to give that up and have nothing, just have this void, is in some cases very painful. And I think it does start people on that kind of path to be a little more depressed. And that's one of the reasons that Good Life actually was established. We want to create that environment where people can feel challenged and also meet other people at the same level of education, experience, possibly even from the same workplace, and create those new social connections that you give up when you leave the workplace.
Mm-hmm. And I think people sometimes don't realize how many components there are to health that are suddenly totally changed when they retire. So, the physical, the emotional, the social. So focusing on the physical first, they're used to getting up and having to get ready for work. And then they go and they, might have to shovel the driveway and then get in the car and then, maybe climb some stairs at work. And then when they retire, they don't always realize that all of a sudden their body's moving so much less. Mm-hmm. So they're at higher risk of getting some health problems just because of the fact that they're not moving as much as they used to. Because exercise isn't just, going to my exercise class. It's about all your movement throughout the whole day. So can you talk a little bit about some of the classes that you offer that get people moving physically?
Sure. We try to offer exercise classes in a whole range of levels because we understand that there are some people that Maybe they've retired because they physically aren't able to work any longer. Other people have never really engaged in exercise activities. They've lived a more sedentary life. And other people have always had that sort of highly charged desire to keep moving and exercise and be well. So we have classes that range from our cardio classes down to gentle yoga, which is a class that is designed specifically for people who may be less mobile. We look at how exercise can be beneficial in terms of the kind of exercise as well. We have, as I said, cardio and aerobic exercise classes. We have stretch and strengthen classes. We have total body fitness that really looks at your whole body. And we have a lot of other classes like yoga that take into consideration the mind-body connection as well as physically exerting yourself. So there's lots of options for people, and I think we've tried to create those exercise programs so anyone coming in is going to find something that's going to meet their needs.
That's great. And you have the different offerings so that people are getting the cardio and the strength training and the balance and the stretching, which they might not have had in their life before. Maybe they were active, but they did cardio all the time. And as they get older, it's really important for them to have all of the components, because when they're older, they're more likely to fall. So, the balance exercises and the stretch are going to be extra important. And then the cardio, not only is it keeping their heart strong, but when we exercise, it releases those feel-good hormones in our brains. So then it's going to help them stay out of that depressed state that some seniors get in after they retire if they don't remain active.
Absolutely. And the other component that we try to add as well is the type of classes for people who maybe are coming back from having had surgery, or maybe they've had to go to rehab because there's been something else physically that they've had to deal with, or they just haven't had the strength in their body because they're dealing with a chronic illness. So we've had a really successful partnership with the Visiting Nurse Association, and the organization, both of us have put together programming like Better Choices, Better Health, which is about dealing with those chronic illness issues, and Better Balance, which is specifically, as you mentioned, dealing with people who have concerns about balance, which can be the precursor to having a bad fall, which can put you on another road in terms of injury and recovery. So I think our programming has really tried to cover that whole range of ages and fitness levels for people. Mm-hmm. But I think we also offer people the opportunity to experience the joy of exercise and fitness. I think we do have a lot of people in our environment that have always stayed fit, but we also have a lot of people now, due to technology, who have been at a desk for many years and have become very sedentary, and the whole idea of exercise has never been a component of their lives. So it's difficult for them to kind of pick and choose what it is that they need to do. So I think our exercise programs, being that they're at all those different levels, offer an opportunity for people to get onto an initial exercise program and start that path to healthy aging as well.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because you talk about people at their desks, and maybe some seniors have gotten to the point where they started to use a cane. And, years ago it used to be when you start using a cane or a walker or a wheelchair, that never reverses. But now we're seeing that when people can get into a good comprehensive wellness program, maybe they can increase their strength and balance, and then they don't need the cane or the walker anymore.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think we've seen some great results from folks who've come to see us and taken some of our classes right along those lines, where they didn't feel that they had the strength or the energy to take a regular class, and they started slow, maybe with gentle yoga. Then they got into adding in maybe a tone, stretch, and revitalize class that just adds a little bit more of a capacity. And then they kind of started to really enjoy how they were feeling from that, and started taking more classes that were putting them on a higher level of exercise and physical fitness. So, yeah, and I think that because we have that attitude that we have provided a range of classes for all levels of mobility, I think that makes a big difference in how people perceive us as, that health and wellness advocate.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. If anybody wants to call in with any questions for Vivian today, our number is 1-866-823-1077. Give us a call and share your ideas or ask Vivian a question about Good Life in Concord.
Yes, that'd be great.
So the other thing I want to talk about is all the overlapping wellness. So, you've got people coming in and they're physically moving more, and now they're socializing more, and, they're happier. So talk about the link with the social benefits of Good Life with people who come in.
Sure. I think there's been so much research that's been done over the last few years about the importance of social connections, especially as we get older. One of the downsides of aging is that our cohort ages as well. And so the people who have been our friends or our family or our connections in our community or even in our personal life or in our families also are getting older and are passing away. We now have a society where people are moving away. We don't have that family unit that's cohesive and that stays in one place any longer, where grandparents and grandkids grow up in the same neighborhood and people are, bi-coastal. So that separates families, it separates people, and sometimes we have older folks who move to a particular area because it's going to be less expensive for them to live, or the type of medical benefits they want are there, and they may move far away from family. So they become more and more isolated. So one of the things that I think has been really apparent in the research, and one of the things that we certainly notice, is the importance and the value of the social connection. So our exercise classes are not just even for specifically physical fitness. For a lot of folks, they come to an exercise class because their friends are in that class, and it's a social connection for them as well as the fitness. The fitness is kind of a great byproduct, but they come because their friends are in that class and they get to see them at the same time every week. In addition, we offer all kinds of social opportunities. We do trips on a regular basis. We have about 12 trips plus a year, and those are wonderful ways for people who, especially those who don't have family or friends around them, to come and meet other people and go and have a great all-day trip, sit next to somebody at lunch, get to know them, and grow a new friend. We do social activities, like, for example, tomorrow we're having our Valentine's Day luncheon, and it's a great way for a whole group of people. Usually 60 to 70, sometimes 80 people come to our social activities, and everybody just hangs out, has a great time, has some food, has some entertainment, and they leave really feeling good and happy about themselves and about us. So those are just really small nuggets, I think, of what we do to help people make those kind of social connections.
That's great. And then when they make new friends, they're starting to support each other, and then they're having conversations about, some of their health challenges, and then they have other people who, oh yeah, I dealt with that too,
Right.
and then they
Right.
don't feel so alone in what they're
Yeah.
going through.
Exactly. And I think that, the ability to be able to share your personal experience and the capacity to do that increases as we age. One of the wonderful things that I've enjoyed about working with older adults is the honesty and the ability to just kind of share, and the directness. There's no pretense. It's just, I'm old enough now, I can just put it right out there. And that's really very refreshing in this
Right.
world, I think. And I think it opens the door for people to make those kinds of connections and friends. And we have many people who've said to us that, I was so lonely before I started coming to Good Life, and you have saved my life. Or
That's
you have made
terrific.
such a difference in my life. Yeah. So, I think we serve a great purpose, and I think we're definitely seeing the benefit in folks.
Yeah, and that's really important, because one of the things we don't hear often about is senior suicide, because sometimes they do become very isolated and very depressed. And I don't know if it's like out of respect, a lot of people don't talk about that, but prevention's huge. So if people have those resources so that they can, still feel like they're a part of society and they have a purpose and they're getting that, physical and mental stimulation, that's terrific.
It is. And I can't tell you how many times we have family members come to us to say, oh, my father or my mother has just moved in with us. They've moved from, several states away. And we both, work, husband and wife, for example. We want to make sure that mom or dad has some things to do. We don't want them to be just sitting at home waiting for us to come home and watching TV. We want them to be active and involved like they were in their home that they moved from. So, I think that there's an understanding by families too of the importance of making those connections with others and getting involved and having that ongoing stimulation. So it's great for us to have those families come to us and ask us questions about that. But I think it really does point to what you just said, that if you do stay at home and sit at home and don't engage with others, it really has a significant effect on you, not just mentally, but I think physically as well. I mean, we know the brain and the body is very connected.
Right. And the combination can, bring people in a negative direction with their health. So,
Absolutely.
great.
Well, you guys are great. Really. Huh? I'm just sitting back here and, enjoying the conversation.
Good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a great topic, too. And we'll talk more about it. Ask Coach Carol segment here on 107.7 The Pulse. And Vivian Green here from Good Life in Concord. We'll talk more about that in just a moment or two. But this is the Ask Coach Carol segment of Kale and Company. 1-866-823-1077 is our number. Congratulations to Lenny in Manchester. Lenny, the latest qualifier for the Pulse's Ultimate Ski Package. The big drawing comes up tomorrow between 6 and 9 o'clock on the New Hampshire Wake Up Show. And Carol Phillips is here, Vivian Green from Good Life in Concord. So, Carol, take it away.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
It has, even off the air.
Off the air, too. So, I wanted to point out that you have over 2,000 adult participants at Good Life. So that is a busy, active place. And you have some events coming up I know that you wanted to mention.
Yes. We always have something new going on, and our events are really something that changes every quarter. We come up with new ideas and new events that we hope are going to be of interest to people, and whether it's something that's newly identified as a trend or something that people have requested. We do have one ongoing program that we offer on a regular basis, which is on wills, probate, and trusts, and that's always very well attended, how to ensure that you have all of your affairs in order if you're thinking about retiring, or even if you already are. These are very important legal documents, and you need to understand what the world is like in terms of what you want to leave behind. We also have a great partnership with the Dartmouth Hitchcock facilities, and we have done several programs with them, and we have an upcoming program at the end of March on Parkinson's disease, knowing the signs and treatment options. And it's an illness that people have a lot of concern about and sometimes don't have enough information about, but it can be devastating to a family. So we wanted to put that program together. So again, that's on March 30th. We also have Carol coming in to do a great program for us.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, we're very excited. It's actually going to be based on her new book, and it's titled 52 Simple Ways to Health and Wellness. And the program itself is really to help educate people on what the options are, how they can age well, and look at all of the different aspects of good health. There's so much information out there now that people get very confused. I know I do, about what you should be doing. It seems like things change constantly. And I think especially when you add in the aging factor, it becomes even more difficult to kind of figure your way through and navigate that whole landscape. So Carol is going to be coming and talking to us about how we can find some easy, fun strategies for improving health and wellness. Carol has 27 plus years of experience, which I was shocked looking at you to realize that you have been around that amount of time. You're
She started very young.
You must have started when you were about 5 years old, I think. So we're looking at this being the first of a series on making positive lifestyle changes. So Carol is going to be doing 3 more after this one that are focused on specific aspects of healthy aging. So we're very excited to have you on board, and that's going to be March 10th. And obviously, if people are interested, they can come down to Good Life or give us a call and register for that right away.
Great. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. And what's the website?
Our website is www.goodlifenh.org. And you can find out information on all of our trips, events, all of our classes on our website.
Yeah, the website's very clear. It has the classes, the events, and people can go there and get all the information they need, sign up for whatever they're interested in.
Yes, yes. And we can always provide more information if people have questions, but it's a great place to start. We also have a weekly newsletter, eBlast newsletter that goes out. So if people go to our website, they can click on the first page, and it does have a little button that you can sign up for our e-newsletter, and that goes out every Friday, and it has updates on classes, new classes, information about how to sign up for classes. And if you sign up for that eBlast, you're going to get the most up-to-date current information on everything we have to offer. So I highly recommend for people to go ahead and sign up for that.
Great. And you're located North Concord. And
Yes.
what's the address?
It's 254 North State Street. So if you're going out on North State Street, you're going to go up to just about where the state prison entrance is. And on the opposite side of the road, you're going to take a right on McGuire Street. There's a 4-way stoplight there, so it makes it easy to turn in. And then you take McGuire Street on your right, and then you take your next right, and you'll see the Smokestack Center, which is a small industrial park, and we're in the back end of that building.
Great.
Very easy to find.
Plenty of parking.
Absolutely. Tons of free parking, which is at a premium in Concord.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very good.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's true.
So tell us a little bit more about your trips, your day trips. Those sound exciting.
Sure, sure. They're always a lot of fun, and our trips tend to be sold out. So I do invite people to register early. And all of our buses are anywhere from 45 to 50 passengers, so they're very comfortable buses. But our upcoming trips, we're starting out with a trip to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, and we're going to have lunch at a French bistro in downtown Boston. And we've done this trip several years in a row, and if you've never been to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, it is an incredibly interesting place to go. Isabella Stewart Gardner traveled the world in the 1800s and collected stuff from everywhere. And when she died, she, in her will, stated that nothing was to be moved in her home, and her home was to become a museum. And so it has been kept in that way. So it's fascinating.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So we'll be going there. In April 20th, we're going to be going on a Boston Duck Tour. So if you haven't ever been on a Boston Duck Tour bus, those are so much fun. You're up high in the air to start with, and then you get into the water to end up with. So that's really cool. That's going to include lunch at Legal Seafoods, which is to die for anyway. And then lastly, we'll be visiting Boston's icon, the Old North Church, and doing a tour of that, which is a fascinating place in and of itself.
And how great to not have to drive in and out of Boston and
Yes.
find parking
Find
and
parking,
pay
yes, indeed.
$3,000 for parking for the day.
Exactly. Yep. We take you in and we bring you home, and you're in the comfort of a wonderful chair and the company of some great folks that are going to be enjoying that trip. We're going to do a springtime trip to the beautiful Berkshires. That's in May, and we're going to be going to the Lord Jeffrey Inn, and also including a wine tasting with that trip, and the Magic Wings Butterfly Conservatory in Deerfield, Massachusetts, which is an amazing conservatory because you actually get to walk through this space full of tropical plants and butterflies, and the butterflies are flying all around you, which I think is
Oh,
just
nice.
That's
really beautiful.
Back to nature.
Back to nature and beauty. We're going to be doing our Providence trip again, which is a trip to Providence, Rhode Island. It includes a historic tour around the city, the State House. We go to Shallow Brothers Bakery and watch them bake bread in a stone oven. The Shallow Brothers Bakery is the only true Italian bakery remaining in the Italian section of Providence. And it's still owned by the same family. And you get to sample all kinds of wonderful baked goods when you go there, which is even better. And we also have lunch there at one of the Italian restaurants in the Italian section, which is really, really delicious. We're doing a Lighthouse Lovers Cruise up in Maine in July with a 4-course lobster clam bake,
Oh,
and we get
nice.
to go up to Portland and see all of the lighthouses on the way up. We're going to be going to Massachusetts again for Connecticut River Cruise, and a great lunch at the Wiggins Tavern in Northampton. And then we're going to be doing a Skyline cruise in Boston, which is on the river, and going to the top of the hub for lunch. And I think there are still people who have never been to the top of the hub. And if you haven't, that is a spectacular place. First of all, the food is great. And secondly, the view from up there, we have a room that they provide for us that has 3 windows all the way around. So you see this really aerial view of Boston from
Wow.
up there, which
That's
is
great.
fantastic. Yeah.
That's great.
So
Wow.
that's just what we've got coming up.
I think we
in the
should
next
do them
quarter.
all.
I think so. I'm all
sold
for it.
you?
Sounds
Yeah,
like fun.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to schedule a few more buses.
That's okay. If I've sold 2 tickets, I'm happy.
So, is there an age minimum for Good Life?
We have an age of eligibility of 50 plus for all of our programs. For our trips, there is no age requirement. So we found that sometimes there are great opportunities for grandparents to bring their grandkids or for mothers and daughters to take a trip together.
Nice.
Again, it's just, they're really a lot of fun, and everybody gets to know one another. And we have people, I think at this point, we have almost 400 people who travel with us on a regular basis.
Wow.
And they, as soon as we put out our new trips in January, February, they sign up for 3-4 of them.
That is such a great option, because we live in this crazy society where we're just so busy and so stressed and plugged into our phones and computers
Yep.
all the time, and so good for the brain to get away.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, to do something a little different. And sometimes our trips are trips that people wouldn't think of doing on their own. And we put it all together for you.
Right. And then once you book it and it's on your schedule, you're not going to just easily say to yourself, oh, you know what, I got to do these things instead. Whereas if you just plan something locally,
Right.
you're more likely to say, yeah, get too busy. But if you've got something that you've scheduled and you've signed up, you're much more likely to go and force yourself to get away for a little bit.
I agree. And I
So-
think we have trips that people look forward to as well. Again, sometimes there are things that people wouldn't have selected to do on their own, and we create the whole trip. So we have the whole ride, we have where you're going to have lunch and what you're going to do for activities, but it's not like the old-fashioned types of senior trips where it was just get them on the bus, give them lunch, and bring them back.
Right.
We really try to find things to do that are going to be fun.
I
Lots
can
of fun.
imagine that your participants come back and say, that was so much fun. I had
Yes.
such a great day.
Yes, we're actually planning for the fall a brewery tour as well. We're still working out the details of that, but it'll be a Sam Adams brewery tour.
Interesting.
So look out for
Very
that.
good.
Very nice. Wow. You'll need to bring on some extra buses, I think.
That's okay.
The other thing that I love about Good Life is the branding.
you.
It's such a great name. It's so positive. And then on the website it says meet, learn, enjoy, which is just, it's so simple, but it's so important.
Absolutely. And again, I think what it does is it really emphasizes the social relationship component. And I did read a quote a long time ago that said, social relationships are the foundation of happiness. And I think that's absolutely true. I think if we were to take away the exercise classes, that might be difficult for some people, but if we took away the social component, I think it would be the hardest. It would have the biggest impact.
Right, right. Well, they say that just having a conversation with another person is one of the most complex things that the brain does.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful exercise.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think the more we hear about the research, especially when you're talking about cognitive dysfunction and cognitive illness, and the research that's been being done on Alzheimer's,
Right.
and that social connection, where even a person who is in advanced stages, if they're in a room with other people talking or doing things, it has this positive effect on them, and I think that's so telling.
Right, exactly. Just like you think about, the dementia. It's almost like they're losing their abilities, backward chronologically. So you think about not comparing them to children, but sometimes when the abilities deteriorate, think back to when children are little, and it's so important for them to learn to talk to other people and see the facial expressions and the positivity and the smiles.
Mm-hmm.
That also becomes very important as people get into the further stages of dementia.
Absolutely. And I think that really brings up the point of how much more tactile people become as well. And I think that relates in a way to another type of programming that we offer, which is our art programs. And there's also been a lot of research done on how it improves cognitive function to be involved or engaged in creative activities. And I think that research is really tremendous, and that's becoming much more important. So we have a whole series of programming on creative aging, and our creative aging workshops have been very well attended. We have a partnership with NHTI, Concord's Community College, to use their art studios, and we have Masters of Fine Arts instructors who teach them. And we also have a series of workshops that we do at the center as well that are a little more basic. And from pastel painting to silk screening to creating outside lawn and garden ornaments and pottery to just Zentangle and open studio art. We have a whole range of different types of art experiences for people who may have wanted to do art and never had the time based on their family and work responsibilities, or have done it in the past and had to stop doing it for whatever reason and want to re-engage with that creative part of themselves.
Yeah, and I always find it fascinating when somebody takes up art in their retirement years, and lo and behold, there's some amazing, talented artist that people didn't even realize.
Absolutely.
And you don't even find out until they're much older.
Absolutely. But I do believe that everybody has a little creative spark inside them.
Right.
And it's just a case of finding it and letting it escape.
Right. Or think that it's something that they've been wanting to do. Well, now's the time to do it and enjoy it.
Right.
So terrific. Great information.
I have to jump in. We have to take a break, but if you want more information, goodlifenh.org is the website, and lots of great information there. And we're chatting today with Vivian Green from Good Life in Concord. Carol Phillips is here. Coach Carol. We'll take our final break and back to wrap it up after these words on the pulse. Oh, one more time, the Coach Carol music, which we won't hear for another couple of weeks. But I want to get a continuous loop and just play it in my car over and over.
I like that music.
I do too. I don't know who picked it out, but it was good.
I did.
You did. Oh, it was you. Okay. All right.
I just fell in love with it the first time I heard it.
Yeah, well, it is good. Good stuff. One more time, tell us about your book signing coming up Saturday.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So this Saturday, the 13th, I will be doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble on South Willow Street in Manchester, just across the street and down a little bit from the Mall of New Hampshire. And I'm excited. So come in, check out, Barnes & Noble's, besides all the books, they've got gift things, and they've got the cafe there. So
just
come
in
and
time
have
for
a
Valentine's
snack.
Day. Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Absolutely. So they have the children's section. So it's a great place to visit. So I'm excited. So come on down and say hi.
An autographed copy you can get.
That's right.
Yeah, I have mine, so I'm all set. But that's great. That's great, and it'd be a nice Valentine's Day gift.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And Vivian Green from Good Life. It's been a very informative hour.
Yes.
And
terrific.
Yeah. So any parting words that you have for us?
Just a couple. Again, just to remind people that Carol will be with us on March 10th to do her first step out in the series that we have going on with her. And the participants in that first program that she's doing on March 10th also get a copy of her book. And I know that she would be very happy to sign copies for people. So it's another
It'll be
way.
fun.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm really looking forward to that. So it's another way for them to come and meet Carol and find out more about how they can age well. And anybody who is interested in just kind of experimenting and finding out more about our classes but isn't really sure about signing up for one, we are holding a class demo week, the week of March 14th through the 18th. And we're having a series of our classes, just little snapshots where people can come kind of check out what the class is and see if it's something that they want to sign up for. So that includes our Yoga Renew, Take a Breath Yoga, and Yoga for 50 Plus classes, Cardio for Heart Health, Tone Stretch and Revitalize, and Your Body Tune-Up, as well as our Zen Yoga class. So if you're interested but not quite sure, come on down that week of the 14th to the 18th and check us out.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being with us. It was a great hour, Vivian. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carol, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Ken.
Well,
Thanks,
listen,
Ken.
it's my pleasure to have both of you here.